Beyond the Gates spoilers tease that the show's creator and head writer, Michelle Van Gene, recently acknowledged rumors surrounding the sudden halt in the airing of new episodes. There had been no prior announcements about Beyond the Gates taking a break. It was only this past weekend, and into the early days of the week, that fans realized no new episodes were being released for the entire stretch from June 30th through July 4th. Michelle Van Gene addressed the issue during a public panel, referencing all the other daytime dramas that had made official announcements. She clarified that the decision to pause programming had come from CBS, not from her creative team. Although she remained the brain behind the narrative and direction of Beyond the Gates, she had no control over broadcast scheduling. She had only been informed about the decision, like everyone else. The delay, which included the Independence Day holiday on July 4th, meant General Hospital also paused, while Days of Our Lives continued unaffected due to its Peacock streaming model. The Young and the Restless and the Bold and the Beautiful still delivered fresh episodes, leaving Beyond the Gates fans frustrated. Despite concerns of cancellation, Michelle Van Gene confirmed that the series had already been renewed for Season 2. Though its ratings were lower than its CBS daytime siblings, Beyond the Gates had a loyal core audience, and its layered storytelling kept viewers invested. Michelle promised that not only would new episodes resume the following week, but they would also include dramatic new developments designed to reward fans for their patience. But what Michelle didn't say outright was what these storylines would entail. That's where the real intrigue lies. Off the record, leaks from the writer's room painted a picture of a season pivoting toward darker, more complex themes. At the center of it was a twist that would shake the foundations of several long-standing relationships. It began with a quiet conversation in a dimly lit doctor's office. Madison slid the envelope across the desk toward Bill with a solemn expression. "You need to see this," she said. Bill opened the paper slowly, not yet realizing the magnitude of what he was about to read. "You have prostate cancer and cannot have children." The words struck Bill like a freight train. It wasn't just the shock of the diagnosis, it was what it implied, or rather, what it obliterated. Just days earlier, his ex-wife Dani had approached him, claiming she was pregnant with his child. Bill had barely processed the news before his current wife Haley made a similar announcement. She, too, was expecting. Now Madison, his longtime friend and confidant, had handed him a truth that tore both of those claims to shreds. If the diagnosis was accurate, then neither pregnancy could possibly be his. The room spun. His mind looped through recent moments with Dani. Her eyes had been pleading, her voice cracking when she said, "This is your chance to do it right, Bill. We can start over. For the baby." He had believed her. Or wanted to. Their past was chaotic, but there had been real affection once. Yet now he couldn't help but wonder, what had Dani's real motive been? Madison didn't wait for him to ask. She leaned forward. "You need to talk to both of them. You deserve to know what's really going on. But Bill, this goes deeper than lies. Someone is using this child or these children to manipulate you." The first confrontation was with Dani. She looked startled when he brought up the medical results. Her reaction wasn't denial. It was something else, disappointment. "I thought I had more time," she muttered. "Time for what?" Bill asked. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she pulled out a small envelope of her own and handed it to him. Inside were ultrasound images and a note that read, "We made our choice." The pronoun choice chilled him. "We. Is it mine?" he asked quietly. She didn't look at him. "It doesn't matter anymore. You were supposed to believe it was." Bill left, more confused than before. Dani had always been erratic, but this was something else. Deliberate. Calculated. As if she were playing a role. Then came the conversation with Haley. It was even more jarring. Haley had always seemed sincere, a beacon of hope after the collapse of his first marriage. She was glowing when she first shared her pregnancy news, full of excitement. Now, with the medical report in hand, Bill waited in silence as she read. Her face went pale. She didn't deny the results. She didn't even try. "Who is the father, Haley?" She hesitated. Then, In a voice so low he could barely hear it, she said, "It wasn't supposed to happen like this." Like what? We needed to secure the legacy. You're more important than you know. Your name. Your influence. This child needed to be yours. He isn't. Tears welled in her eyes. But Bill saw no regret. Only fear. As if someone else had been pulling the strings all along. Now two women, both claiming to carry his child, had fallen apart under scrutiny. The reality was more chilling than either lie. Someone was orchestrating this. And the more Bill pulled at the threads, the more twisted the web became. He returned to Madison, desperate for clarity. She had been one of the first to suspect something was wrong, and now she seemed to be hiding something herself. "Why did you give me those results?" he asked. Madison looked at him evenly. "Because you needed to know. And because I was told to." Bill froze. By who? CBS Legal. For a moment, the world cracked open. It was no longer just about betrayal or parenthood. It was about narrative control. Madison explained. Beyond the Gates, despite its low ratings, had garnered a cult following. The story arcs had become increasingly self-aware, feeding on audience attention. When characters deviated from the planned path, reality, or the show's version of it, was stood in response. The pregnancies weren't organic. They were planted. Story beats inserted by shadow writers hired to recenter the show around Bill, whose quiet charisma had tested well with viewers. They needed drama. They needed legacy. They needed to raise stakes without introducing new blood. So they repurposed yours, Madison said. That's insane. Is it? Or is it working? Bill stumbled away from her, mind reeling. What if his life had never been his own? What if every decision, every relationship had been designed to serve a plot? And if that were true, who was the real writer? He returned to Whitmore Hall one final time, not to confront but to investigate. The estate had become a symbol of all that was manipulated, broken, rewritten. And now it might be the only place where the script could be reclaimed. The gates creaked open. The house was waiting. Bill stepped inside Whitmore Hall with a growing sense that reality itself had shifted. The hallways, once familiar, felt rearranged. Portraits stared longer, floorboards creaked beneath footsteps that weren't his. The air was colder, heavier, as if the walls themselves had read the script and understood what was coming. Madison was waiting near the central stairway. Her face was unreadable, a mix of calculation and concern. She handed Bill another envelope, smaller than the last, sealed with red wax. He opened it slowly. Inside, a paternity test. Unmarked. "It's Haley's," Madison said. "It doesn't match you. And neither does Dani's." Bill had no words. He simply stood in silence, absorbing the gravity of what that meant. Every part of his life, every confession, every promise had been built on the belief that he was the anchor, the center. But now, all connections to him had been severed. "She knew," he asked, voice hoarse. "She orchestrated it," Madison replied. "Haley played her role. Dani played hers. And someone played all of us." He sought out Haley first. She was in the conservatory, surrounded by the scent of orchids she never liked. Her hands were wrapped tightly around a sonogram printout. The image had been altered, digitally manipulated. He recognized the signs. "I should have told you," she whispered. "But I thought if I kept lying, eventually it would become real." "Whose child is it?" he asked. "I don't know. They never told me. They just needed me pregnant. Said it would drive the arc forward. That we'd be renewed. That our story would matter again." "And you agreed?" She looked up, eyes hollow. "I agreed to survive." Dani was different. There was no apology, no desperation. Just cold resolve. "It was never about the baby," she said. "It was about the myth. They wanted to write you as a savior. And I needed something to trade for my place back on screen." Bill stared at her in disbelief. "So it was all a deal?" "Everything's a deal here." Madison reappeared, holding an old production binder, one marked Season 2, draft locked. Inside were story outlines, character arcs, even alternate endings. And at the center, Bill. Each version different, but always tragic. A man undone by women. A man whose lineage was a lie. A man audiences would pity. They picked your arc based on test groups, she said. And when the ratings slipped, they added the pregnancies. Then the betrayals. Then this. So what now? Now we make a choice. Haley, Dani, Madison, and Bill descended into the bowels of Whitmore Hall, into the old network room beneath the stage. This was where the metadata was stored, where the story engine lived. If it could be accessed, it could be rewritten. We find the root scene, Madison explained. The moment everything changed. Then we break it. The root scene was labeled episode 47. It was a dinner party Bill's engagement announcement with Haley. A moment when the script diverged from intention into manipulation. Madison cued the footage. Everyone watched in silence. On screen, Haley smiles at Dani. Dani toasts. Madison laughs. All of them performing sincerity. But now, with everything exposed, it played like horror. They were setting you up even then, Madison said. Bill stared at his own face. Confused. Hopeful. Real. He turned from the screen. Burn it. No, Dani said. Erase it. There's a difference. They found the master control panel. A series of switches and reels, all blinking. At the heart, the rewrite lever. It had never been used. But it was meant to reset. Are you sure? Haley asked. No, Bill replied. But I'm done being a story. He pulled it. Light exploded. Voices screamed. Then silence. One by one, the characters woke up not in Whitmore, not on set, but in ordinary lives. Dani as a bookstore clerk. Haley as a med student. Madison as a journalist. Bill as a construction worker with no past, no future script. No memory. But a new beginning.